Hey, Nerd Society! Today, we're diving into the grossest powers in comics. Some heroes and villains have abilities that are downright disgusting, from vomiting acid to controlling swarms of insects. Get ready for a list that will make your stomach turn. Before we start, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment telling us which of these nasty powers you think is the worst. Now let's get into it. Spider-Man. Spider-Man's abilities are incredible, and Peter Parker's genius has helped him accomplish amazing feats. However, not every version of the hero has been as appealing. Some adaptations have taken his powers in strange and unsettling directions. While he's usually seen as a cool and relatable character, certain changes have made him much creepier. One of the weirdest examples comes from an alternate take on his web shooting ability. Just like in Sam Raimi's movies, some comics gave Spider-Man organic webbing instead of artificial ones. This meant his webs were a bodily fluid rather than a mechanical creation. Instead of crafting his own web shooters, his body naturally produced and expelled the material. The thought of his webbing being a biological secretion makes his power a lot grosser. It's a small detail, but it completely changes how we see his iconic ability. Matter Eater Lad. Everyone knows someone with a steel stomach who can eat just about anything, but Matter Eater Lad takes that idea to the extreme. As a member of the Legion of Superheroes, he possesses a truly bizarre power. His ability allows him to consume anything, no matter how indigestible or dangerous. Unlike normal people, he doesn't have to worry about breaking his teeth or getting sick. For him, eating is not just a necessity, it's a superpower. He can literally eat anything, from a simple sandwich to a barbed wire fence without hesitation. No material is too tough, no object too unappetizing for his unique digestive system. While this ability has been useful in certain situations, it's undeniably one of the weirdest in comic history. The thought of someone casually chewing through metal or toxic waste is enough to make anyone uneasy. It may be a helpful power, but it's also incredibly gross. Arm Fall-Off Boy. Imagine sitting in a restaurant enjoying your meal when a battle breaks out in the street. A group of heroes is fighting a dangerous villain, and you watch in amazement. But then, you notice something truly bizarre. One of the heroes is ripping off his own arms. Instead of using weapons or super strength, he literally detaches his limbs and throws them at his enemy. That's exactly the power of Arm Fall-Off Boy, and it's as weird as it sounds. His ability allows him to remove his arms and use them as blunt weapons in combat. While it might have some strategic value, the sight of a hero yanking off his own limbs is undeniably unsettling. The fact that he can just pop them back into place doesn't make it any less gross. It's a power that raises more questions than it answers, like, does it hurt? Anarchist. Sweat is already unpleasant, especially when mixed with bad odors in a crowded space. Now, imagine a superhero whose main power revolves around it. Instead of super strength or energy blasts, his body produces something far more disgusting. His sweat isn't just an inconvenience, it's a weapon. Few things sound grosser than using bodily fluids to fight crime. That's exactly what Anarchist does, as he can fire acidic sweat at his enemies. This burning secretion can eat through objects and harm opponents in battle. While it makes him a formidable fighter, it also makes him one of the most nauseating heroes ever. The thought of someone weaponizing their own perspiration is unsettling enough. But knowing his body is constantly producing corrosive sweat, that takes the disgust to another level. Tar Baby. As if acidic sweat and other bodily fluids weren't bad enough, there's a character whose powers involve something even grosser. Tar Baby, a member of the Morlocks, has the ability to excrete sticky, tar-like substance from his own skin. This gooey, disgusting substance is enough to make anyone cringe. Instead of using strength or speed to capture his enemies, he traps them in a grimy, unshakable grip. The tar that oozes from his body creates a sticky bond, making it nearly impossible for anyone to escape once they're caught. Victims find themselves stuck to him, unable to break free from his gruesome power. The idea of being trapped in tar, stuck in place by someone's own skin secretion, makes this ability one of the most unpleasant on our list. It's not just a sticky situation, it's a horrifying one. Larval. The name of this hero fits his abilities and his disturbing physical condition perfectly. Larval is a character who has two giant larvae living inside of him, and these creatures act as his digestive system. Rather than relying on a normal digestive tract, his body relies on these grotesque insects to break down any solid matter he consumes. It's an unsettling concept, to say the least, with his powers rooted in something biologically repulsive. To make things even more disgusting, when these larvae emerge from his body, they must devour Larval's own abdomen to survive. After feeding, his body regenerates and the cycle begins again. The idea of two giant larvae living inside you, constantly eating and regenerating parts of your body, makes his powers not only gross, but deeply unsettling. It's a disturbing twist on what it means to be a living hero. Worm. Telepaths are often seen as some of the most powerful and intelligent characters in comics, radiating an aura of control and superiority. However, not all telepaths are created equal, and some take their abilities to truly unsettling extremes. Worm, a villain from the Savage Land, uses his mind control powers in one of the grossest ways possible. Instead of using conventional telepathic methods, he controls his victims by secreting a disgusting substance from his hands. This secretion spreads across his victim's body, allowing him to manipulate them at will. The thought of being controlled by someone through this slimy, intrusive substance makes Worm one of the creepiest villains around. His powers not only violate his victims mentally, but physically as well, adding a layer of disgust to his already sinister abilities. It's a disturbing mix of mind control and bodily fluid manipulation that sets him apart in the worst way possible. Flemgem. Telepaths are often among the most powerful and intelligent characters in comics, known for their control and superiority. However, some telepaths push their abilities to disturbing extremes, and Worm, a villain from the Savage Land, is a prime example. Rather than relying on traditional telepathic methods, Worm controls his victims through a disgusting substance secreted from his hands. This slimy secretion spreads across his victim's body, giving Worm the ability to manipulate them at will. The idea of being controlled through such an intrusive and gross method makes Worm one of the creepiest villains in comics. His power blends mind control with bodily fluid manipulation, creating a deeply unsettling experience for his victims. Groxo. Groxo is a mutant with powers that are as unsettling as they are dangerous. His long, sticky tongue, much like a frog's, allows him to lash out at enemies or grab objects from a distance. His abilities don't stop there. He can spit a toxic, mucus-like substance that functions as glue, capable of temporarily blinding or suffocating his victims. This combination of bodily fluids and mindless brutality makes Groxo one of the most repulsive mutants in comics. His powers go beyond just being dangerous. They add a level of horror and disgust, as he uses his grotesque abilities to incapacitate, disorient, and immobilize his victims in the most revolting ways possible. Zeitgeist. Of course, no list of gross powers would be complete without a character whose main ability revolves around spitting phlegm. Zeitgeist, much like Groxo, has the repulsive power to eject large quantities of mucus at his enemies. His phlegm isn't just gross, it's incredibly dangerous. Whether it blinds, suffocates, or causes his victims to vomit in disgust, Zeitgeist's powers are as vile as they sound. His ability to project this revolting substance as a weapon makes him one of the most unpleasant characters in the Marvel Universe. Not only is the idea of being attacked by phlegm unsettling, but its potential to incapacitate makes it a truly effective, if revolting, tool. Zeitgeist's power combines the worst of bodily fluids with a horrifying level of practicality, turning mucus into a dangerous weapon for battle. Thanks so much for watching Nerd Society. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Let us know which disgusting power you thought was the worst, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your support helps us keep creating more awesome content. We'll see you in the next one.